Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to Agatha Christie's The ABC Murders. So let's continue. So we got the second letter, and then we got in the car to go to Scotland Yard, and now we have to actually walk into Scotland Yard from the looks of it. It's a little weird, even in a point and click adventure game, to travel from one area to another area to another area to another area and do nothing in those in between areas, because we went from the office where we did things to outside the office to outside the Scotland Yard. Looking here, just with the mouse cursors, it seems like there is nothing to click on. So let's just go. Maybe at some point we will get full access or full usage of those levels and areas. I really don't right now even know who the assistant guy is. He's basically a Watson. He's looking at guns. And then you have Hercule Poirot, who obviously is some sort of Sherlock Holmes type character with what feels like bigger egos. What's interesting,
like
though,
all hunters, Hastings has always been fascinated by weapons.
so we can click on some things and maybe get some achievements for looking around.
Jap has invested a great deal in his career.
We definitely have this weirdness here now where this guy's name is Jap, and yet we saw that there were Japanese geishas on the
Jap is an investigator greatly respected by his peers.
on the walls of Perot's house. So it almost would make more sense if he was Japanese and Perot was just racist. Like, at a certain point, you'd almost expect that to be the case in a lot of old stories, and probably is the case in a lot of old stories, although the common ones in which that's the case seem to get talked about a lot more than anybody
London.
else.
I really like this city. One thing is certain, you never get bored here. Alice Asher was murdered in Andover. The ABC killer's first murder.
First, he's already planning for a second. Perot doesn't really seem like he cares enough to stop this murderer first.
Jap's interview room. Many cases have been solved in this little office.
Yeah. I assume I've clicked on everything there is to click on. We can walk to the edges of the screen and see if it scrolls. Now, I guess we just observe Jap.
Jap appears to be snowed under.
Okay, so we're looking for evidence that he is snowed under, which would be, I guess, those three things. The first time they gave us
to
this,
already be overloaded with work. My news is not going to improve matters.
the tutorial for the observation minigame was pretty
Bonjour,
awful
Chief Inspector.
in that
I
it
am
didn't
afraid we have some bad
explain
news.
the concept
I have
well.
just received another letter signed ABC. The next crime will be on the 25th in Bexhill-on-Sea.
Are you completely sure it's from the same person?
I have compared the two letters. There is no doubt about it.
I suppose you think he's going to carry out his threats.
I fear so.
Good God, Poirot. Bexhill is very busy at this time of year, and we have no idea who the next victim will be.
So I guess Ego is the name of the game. The killer attacks old ladies who runs the shop. The next victim will be a name that starts with a B. We're going with this theory, but what would be really funny is if the murderer established a line, killing somebody with the name A, then killing someone with the letter B, then killing somebody with the letter C, and then just threw it completely out of the mix and murdered 3 different people with 3 different letters all in the same night. That way, it just threw all previous assumptions into question.
I suspect that the name of the second victim will start with B.
What on earth makes you think such a
3
thing?
points for
I
that.
thought about it when I saw the name Asher clearly written over the shop door of the unfortunate woman who was murdered in Andover last month. When I received a letter
Wow, this
mentioning
happened a month
Bexhill,
ago.
I deduced that the victim, like the town, might have been chosen by alphabetical order.
So, it's an alphabet fiend. I'm going to have a list drawn up of all the people whose name starts with B. I hope there aren't too many of them.
Last name and
Yeah,
first name.
we should leave you to work, Chief Inspector.
You have a few days to prepare yourself.
That's weird.
Thank you for coming,
Like,
my friends.
in the background here, you see a rifle, but when you look over the shoulder, you see a handgun. So either the handgun is slightly to the left of the rifle.
Poirot?
Chief Inspector Japp, your call does not bode well.
It's weird that it
Indeed,
doesn't
we have just
end the
found the
chapter
body of a young
when
woman on the
time
beach in
goes
Bexhill.
forward.
An ABC was placed on the body.
We'll be there as soon as possible.
So are we now finally getting to chapter 2? And this is slightly different from a standard point-and-click adventure in that we're
Bexhill is a
not
delightful town.
seemingly going to
It
ever
would be nice to come
be
back
able
and
to
visit.
just wander around
I do not
several
entirely
different
agree.
scenes.
Walking at the beach damages
in
my
a
shoes,
larger
and it hurts
connected,
my knee.
So the years have not spared you, my friend. It's the same for all of us.
That is exactly what I said to myself when I saw you back from your travels.
Poirot.
Do not be offended, Hastings. I can see Japp waiting for us. And from his face, I would say that things are not looking good.
So I almost want... Why are we getting an achievement just for starting a level? I'd almost want the... Alright, so we finally start chapter 2 when we get to this new area. But I'd like to see the game open up in the later half of the experience and have us be able to travel by car into several other places.
Bexhill seems to be a pleasant little town.
This is a fairly large observation puzzle where everything else we've observed has been very small. And you
Bexhill
get this
is a
weird
pretty little seaside
loading.
resort with elegant architecture. Although personally, I prefer more modern buildings.
It kind of feels like the engine is a little bit slow and it is loading up audio when it wants to play. Which, that's weird. So I'm assuming this is one of those cases where, once again, you have to kind of figure out what the line is. But I assume if you look anywhere over in this general direction, that's all one observation point. And then seemingly there's nothing to observe anywhere else. But there's a car you can use.
With all these tourists, these shops must be thriving.
Ginger Cat Restaurant. So we can we go into the crime
I have a
scene?
few more details I wish to clarify before visiting the Ginger Cat.
Okay. So we've got to talk to the detective. Well, I could see some growth there, or slight improvement if we talk to somebody besides Jap in between the last time we talked to him. It seems kind of silly to potentially talk to somebody, travel to a new area, and then talk to that person again.
There is no doubt about it. Bexhill has one of the most beautiful beaches in the area. There is no doubt about it.
We are just going to end up skipping a lot of dialogue the second time we accidentally click on something.
How do you do, gentlemen?
Chief Inspector?
I fear your
so the
admirer
murder
has
is
struck
on the
again,
beach.
Poirot. We haven't yet identified the victim, but it's a young woman, 20 to 25 years old. Death occurred last night between 11:30 and 1 o'clock, and we found an ABC guide on the body.
They write
Was she
the
pretty?
time
Come on,
In
Poirot,
a
that's rather out of place. It
odd
has no
way,
bearing on the murder.
with a point.
Are you certain? For a woman, it is often the most important thing. It often decides her destiny.
The body hasn't been moved. You can see for yourself.
Has the press been informed?
Not yet, but I'm planning to. I haven't yet informed them about the presence of the ABC guide in Andover.
Nobody has reported a young woman missing?
Not for the moment.
No witnesses, I imagine.
Indeed. We've asked everybody who may have met a young woman fitting her description last night to come and see us, but I have little hope of gaining anything from it.
It's early days, Chief Inspector, and the news may not have spread around the town yet.
I hope you're right, Hastings.
With the exception of one story that I recall, as far as the Sherlock Holmes stories that I read, which I think I read them all, there is a shocking lack of females in the stories. I mean, that's just Arthur Conan Doyle era of sexism, and I kind of feel like you're running into that same problem here. We've had 2 female victims and one niece of a victim and the shopkeeper lady. So we have had some women, but you have basically 2 that were murdered and have no personality, one that was just mourning and crying that had no personality, and one that had a cockney aggressive personality. Whereas the men, Poirot is depicted as egotistical but brilliant. Japp seems to be a stand-up guy. Hastings seems to be a stand-up guy. We did have the alcoholic husband, who he looks like a bad character. Of course, a story can't just be equal balanced numbers, otherwise you're wasting too much of your energy making everything equal, but that there is a danger here, certainly, if we have a female to male ratio so high. Although it could very well be a case that this is a murderer who's specifically targeting women for one reason or another. We seem to have a different method of operation, and I think many detectives would say serial killers don't change their method of operations. I think people might be wrong about that severely, but that is the general belief. So going from strangulation to, hitting somebody in the back of the head with a blunt object to strangulation is a big
braided
jump.
silk belt. It may have belonged to the victim.
This is the second time we found something fairly valuable near the victim.
This key is too small to be one for a house. Without a doubt, it is for a padlock.
This is funny because I'm clicking for observations
These marks
here,
have been left by a
instead
rope
of-
or a braided cloth.
focusing with the circles, which I guess
The
does
young woman
indicate
wasn't wearing shoes or a coat.
that they're going to have
and was
2
not
different
carrying a bag.
ways to give us
That's
almost
strange.
the exact same kind of
Either the
gameplay.
murderer stole her belongings, or she put them somewhere safe. Maybe so that she could bath. The guide is open as the page for the Bexhill train times.
So yeah, the ABC guide must just be train times.
Apart from the marks on her neck, there are no signs of the struggle. She didn't manage to hit her assailant. She was a great beauty. Strange that chap didn't notice it. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
We may get fairly boring prompts for jumping to these mini games. How is the victim killed? That way, and that way, and that way. Victim has marks on the neck. The victim was pretty is not important. She did not struggle. Strangled by surprise with her own belt.
The poor child must have been strangled with his braided belt. Unfortunately, in view of the fabric, it is unlikely that we will find any prints. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Wow, so it's just going to jump us into two of these, which almost makes it feel like you could have played up until this point and not actually succeeded. What is the common points between the Andover murder and the one in Bexhill? It seems like the background might be getting less foggy, and I don't know if this is a visual effect that is supposed to give you some kind of hint, or if this is just a visual hint to so one wound, so this guy doesn't mess around. Not those two. So it's probably the Andover guide and this guide. Yep. And this game, I would say, has enough of this other crimes in Andover and Bexhill of the same murderer. Yes, the letter says that. I mean, it has to. Yep. This game feels like it has enough variety in the mini game, so
with her own belt.
it's a little weird
That's what I
to
thought.
have the
She
story
shows the
force
usual
us to
signs
do
of
2 or
strangulation.
3 of those.
With a
mini
little
games
luck,
in a
we'll
row.
find prints this time.
You are too optimistic, Hastings. Our killer is far too meticulous for that.
Alright. So, unless we're supposed to walk over here, I don't think we got the key. So we're supposed to investigate each of these.
This hut is locked.
In what way is it locked? Is there a door?
This hut is locked.
There must be a door that leads
This
into.
hut is locked.
So we have number 9. We did pick up the key. And if we look at the key, it says number 6. So did we lose some points perhaps for not just going to door number 6 first? But even if you're supposed to use the key here,
A dual locking padlock. I need to find the code and then insert a key.
okay. Weird that I need to zoom in twice to get to that point. So I should be able to spin this.
The number is upside down. This is definitely at number 6.
715. So twice now we've had to find a combination number and to find some secrets. Well, I suppose since this arrow is here, that tells me that I should line it up here. The angle definitely does not feel particularly round. If anything, it seems like it's merging two different angled pieces. It seems like the way this is animated, there should be a line of shadow or something here to recognize that those are different angles.
Firstly, I have to enter the padlock's code.
Oops. And then it's questionable if you really needed that animation or not, or whether you really needed to have to be able to manipulate to open the door, but I guess I can't really complain too much about that. What does this one say?
Betty's first day at work. Mom is very proud of you. Elizabeth Barnard, 7 August 1931. So, the young lady did have a name starting with B, and she worked as a ginger cat, an establishment that must be slightly further along the beach.
Do we know her last name? Guess the answer to that is probably no. There's definitely some glitchiness as far as trying to find the right thing to click on. Oddly,
It definitely was here that the victim left her belongings. The purse is full. Yet again, we can dismiss theft as the motive for the murder.
it's
Here is
odd.
the watch
Sometimes
she
you
must have
click
removed
with
to
the
prevent it from getting wet.
cursor, and sometimes you
A
click with the
top-brand
glasses.
lipstick. She liked to take care of her appearance. As well as a photo of the victim with some company. It could be useful to me.
So are we now collecting all of that?
Jap has gone to the police. The victim has been identified and her family had reported her disappearance. She was called?
Elizabeth Barnard, mainly Betty. She worked as a ginger cat at the cafe slightly
So-
further along the beach.
Both her names start with a
Poirot,
B,
how on
which
earth?
that really limits
Never
the
mind.
number of
Do
victims.
you have her address?
Yes, she lived with her parents on the street leading to the beach, number 22. Shall we go?
You are far too impatient, Hastings. Let the poor people take in the news first. Let us go and visit the cafe where Betty worked.
We're getting one ego point. Might as well just check.
This hut is locked.
So now is to go to the ginger cat. We don't probably need to check all these. You would pretty much have to make a list of victims before you even killed the first person.
There is no doubt about it.
That's the only way this would make any sense, is that
There is no doubt
this
about it.
killer made a list of A through Z victims ready to kill.
There is
I
no doubt.
suspect we probably will catch them somewhere around G. It would get fairly crazy for them to skip all the way to Z. You notice we're not getting any real notes as far as
There is no doubt about it.
no real notes as far as like I can't walk there. There's
Could it be
nothing
the
of
same
interest
buildings as
here.
on the victim's photo?
Let's see. Newspaper kiosk. Big dome. Cupola. Is that what a cupola is? Okay. You'd think that the sign would be enough piece of an evidence. System still seems a little rough. Maybe that's why it
This
wants
is
us to
definitely
jump
where the photo I
into
found in the hut was taken.
the other kinds of mini games, is because these observation mini games alone are a little rough.
This is definitely where the photo I found in the hut was taken.
See, normally you'd just be able to right click to walk somewhere and then left click to get to a place, but there's this narrow bottleneck, and since you're using the left click to do both things, it's getting kind of difficult to get Poirot to just walk over to the side, which is
With
where
all
I would
these
want it.
tourists, these shops must be thriving.
And is there any reason to talk to our guy? I mean, it might get us some points to observe him.
Hastings appears to be ill at ease. He appeared to be relatively indifferent to Mrs. Asher's murder, but a young woman's murder seems to be troubling him greatly.
So you can do observations,
I fear that this case is far from being solved.
and you can talk to him.
Come on, Poirot. You'll find the killer.
Certes. But how many times will he kill before I do?
And see, that didn't seem like that gave us any ego points either. Inherently, part of the problem with a lot of the Sherlock Holmes games
I'll be with you in a minute, gentlemen.
was the fact that Watson would just have to kind of wander around and follow you, even though they weren't acting much as an assistant or as a character at all. It might be kind of worth it to lose Hastings more often than not, or give Hastings more character and more things to do.
This is a well-laid table. Nothing is out of place, and above all, no creases.
So that's one thing we can see. There's a jukebox. With a name like the Ginger Cat, I suspect there might be a secret back room and a see-through mirror. I guess maybe you get ego points if you look in the mirror every time you get an opportunity to. Camera kind of swoops in and swoops out.
What a pity. I don't have any change to make it work.
Yep, this feels like it's a bar. And again, I don't think there's a real reason to talk to
Something
Hastings.
tells me that she's the owner of the Ginger Cat.
Interesting cross. Strict appearance. Behind the counter. What's the other thing we're looking for? Red hair. I don't know
This
how red
woman
hair
must be the
equals
owner of
her
the Ginger Cat.
being the ender.
Looks like something is
owner.
bothering her.
I guess maybe because ginger means redheaded.
How can I help you?
That didn't really make
A hot
enough
chocolate
sense
and a
to
tea
me.
for my friend, please.
I'll bring it straight away.
She's doing all kinds of calculations on the cash register as if the cash register could do any real calculations.
I need to know the time range during which Betty was working on her own.
But that's not likely at all what you would actually be able to find out.
This page won't help me.
Right, so Betty's here.
Where is Betty?
She's at 11 a.m.
Betty worked from 11 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Would she
Now
have
this
been
is
alone
weird
at any time during her
because
service?
this is written with the colon, where the times are written with periods in the subtitles. So
Betty worked from
I have no idea who would have who they're translating it for.
Interesting. Betty was alone between 5 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. Who did she serve?
Okay. Between 5:30 and 7:30. Which means we now need to go over to this.
These are the different waiting staff's bills. Which ones were written by Betty?
Okay. Well, did it say what table they go to? Because we have table 5s, table 2s, table 3s, table 1s. And there's different handwritings. And then the hour here says 5. So you've got this one.
Most probably a single man, a whiskey lover. Maybe the murderer? This bill may have been written by Betty. There is probably another one. No, something's not right. Betty was alone at just one of these 2 times.
Yeah, so that's not it. So it would have been this one, I guess.
Most probably a family. This bill may have been written by Betty. There is probably another one.
Alright, and so we'll click on this one.
Most probably a single man, a whiskey lover. Maybe the murderer? Betty served a family and a man on his own, a whiskey drinker. Maybe the murderer. This information will help me to progress.
Of course, he's assuming it's a man. And it's an individual.
Gentlemen, what are you doing?
We are searching for clues, mademoiselle. My name is Hercule Poirot. I am a detective, and this is Captain Hastings. Does Betty Barnard work here?
That is correct. She should have been here a while ago. Punctuality is the first rule of politeness.
I fear that Miss Barnard will not be coming today. She has just been found, dead, on the beach a few 100 meters from the cafe.
How awful. Poor young thing.
This is a great example of
What happened?
how these animations are going to be
She appears to
not
have
particularly
been
great.
murdered.
No real
This is
reaction.
most distressing. How this will affect my business, I shudder to think.
Let's see. Ask what she knows about Betty. On contrary, it's an advert for the town. Which one's more of an egomaniacal, maniacal thing to say? This one, I think, would be.
Do not be so sure. Miss Barnard's tragic death may be a good advertisement for you.
It makes one despair of
That
human nature.
gave me 1 point.
Poor young girl. She was a hard-working and pleasant young woman. I didn't know her that well. She'd only been here for 2 summers. I know that she had a young man. He used to call for her sometimes.
Would have been probably nicer in LA Noire if words like sympathetic just popped up when someone was talking. Because, particularly in this game, yeah, you won't be able just to read the faces. But even in LA Noire, where they tried really hard to make it obvious and have the actors try to make it so any average Joe could read the faces of the characters, there were a lot of people, including me, who just didn't always get it right. And like there are autistic people out there and who just can't read faces or emotions off of people or relate, or sociopathic people out there, and just people who are a little face blind, which I think that's probably what I have. So it would have been very nice if it had said sympathetic there. I guess we should ask about the photo, because that makes Poirot look smart.
This photo was found. Is this him?
Yes, that's him all right. But I haven't seen him for some time.
And see, now it says preoccupied. Young people have no longer have morals. Which one's more egomaniacal? This one, I guess.
I find young people today very hard to understand.
You needn't tell me that. A few weeks ago, they argued just outside the cafe. Imagine what my customers must have thought.
Well, I'm just going down the ego path, but some of these, frankly, feel like they're taking you further away from actually getting information.
I hope for you that it was an isolated incident. It must be difficult to keep a respectable establishment if your staff show themselves to be so shameless.
The young man only made a scene the once. Jealousy, no doubt. It must be said the young girl was very pretty.
Thank you for your time, Mademoiselle Mérion. You have been of great help.
So yeah, I feel like I just aced that interview.
The customer who ordered the
that
whiskey
gave
might
me
provide us more information.
More ego points
He may have
because
been
of
the
it.
last one to see Betty alive.
It is an interesting idea, Hastings. Maybe he is a regular guest. What do you think, mademoiselle?
I don't think so. Our regular guests tend to order tea and cakes. At this time of the year, there are a lot of tourists about you never see again.
That's what I thought. Time to visit Betty's home.
There is still some weirdness here that you just kind of don't have any indication that you're done with an area. Interesting that the witness is not labeled as being in Andover or in Bexhill, and her name is Miss Marion, so she might end up being the M. Let's see if there's anybody else that that maybe would have the same initials. No, and weirdly they seem like they are going to keep the murder victims in their own subcategory, suborder, because you have Alice Asher and then Betty Barnard in Bexhill. So the game kind of wastes your time telling you, hey, there's a new goal, when if you're paying even the slightest amount of attention, you would already know there's a new goal. It's going to be fairly frustrating if it turns out you needed like 600 ego points and there only were 600 ego points in the entire game. Unless there's some way you can jump back and relive chapters or something
Bexhill
like that.
is a pretty little seaside resort with elegant architecture, although personally I prefer more modern buildings.
Apparently, since Hastings walked over there, the door is over here. I would have assumed that the door would have been on this side, but I guess that justifies all this happening. You have some random onlookers. What an
How do you do,
easy
mademoiselle?
commute to work.
My name is Hercule Poirot.
I know you. You're that detective we hear all about.
I do not know if that is a compliment, but I will take it as one for now. You are Betty's sister, I believe?
Yes. My name is Megan.
Can we come in?
Please do.
Yeah, unless the ABC killer decides to come back and kill other people that were related to the first victim.
My parents are at the police station. I doubt they'll be up to speaking to you later.
Do not worry, we will not bother them.
These cutscenes
Did
feel
you
a
know
little
your
bit
sister's
better
plans for yesterday evening?
animated than
No.
some of the previous
I arrived by
ones.
train this morning. My parents called me in a panic when they discovered that Betty had disappeared.
It seems like they spent
She
a
went
little
out
bit
last
less
night,
time
but
on the
She
animation
didn't tell them where she was going.
if they are
What was your
going to
last
have you
conversation
ask
about?
questions
Her new dress.
versus
She wanted a pair
just
of black
having
stockings
it
to go with it.
expound everything in
Mother
a
brought her a
cutscene.
pair. The very day it happened. She was crying. And to think that Betty never even wore them. Poor Mummy.
Alright, well, we are getting a hint here that it seems like it is the stocking shop that they're going to, is how they're getting the names and addresses. So, because that's a little bit too much of a coincidence to believe otherwise. It's kind of funny here. You have what look like really expensive, famous paintings just on the walls. And that seems a little unbelievable.
It would not be polite to visit the house without being invited to do so. It would not be polite.
I thought we were going to go through her purse.
This gramophone is magnificent. It is a one-off, without a doubt.
We're just observing.
The Barnard appear to make music a priority in their budget.
So we're looking for music. A lot of musical things. Interesting, the camera slightly moved. Worn furniture.
They're always modest, but the Barnards are definitely music lovers.
Yeah, it's weird you get that little loading. And probably what it's doing is it's loading out the levels and then loading the levels back in once you're done with the observation scene.
Family photos and files.
For a modern computer or console even, there's no need to do that at all. There's plenty of video RAM and RAM in general, computer RAM, to have two scenes loaded up. That's engine optimization, and certainly it definitely feels like, I'm afraid that's gonna have me walk out the door. Definitely feels like something that needs to be improved upon is a better engine. Of course, if this game was made in its own proprietary engine, you probably best bet just have the next Agatha Christie game made in something like Unity and a more general engine, and hope you can get enough sales to continue to make Agatha Christie games. And see, you're in that weird position, particularly with this, where there's almost certainly an Agatha Christie estate or a book publisher, and I know book publishers don't have a lot of money, but they do have like a cross-promotion reason where it would make a lot of sense to say, if you purchase this book, we'll give you a free copy of the video game or $5 off the video game. Or we could put the video game on a CD-ROM, although nowadays even putting on a CD-ROM is kind of old-fashioned, but sell it in the same book fair that you might see during schools to have a comparison. So yeah, a development and sales of an Agatha Christie video game point-and-click adventure series might be a loss leader, but it would help you sell the books, and your goal,
what is she feeling at the moment?
Theoretically, would be to try and get to make a fan of Agatha Christie books so they buy a bunch of them. And I assume you would sell the books for, let's say even if you sold them for $5, I imagine there's enough Agatha Christie books out there to get potentially $60 or more.
Mr. Poirot, I don't like being stared at. If you have something to say, would you please say it to me?
It seems like the timer before you start...
Betty's older sister is not just sad. She's angry.
Yeah, the timer before they start to mention that they knows you're looking at them is seemingly somewhat random. Let's see. Both of these are basically asking the same thing, so let's go with this one.
Did Betty go out often?
My sister wasn't a child, sir. She used to go out. She enjoyed films, dancing. She was a very good girl who didn't hang around with men. That's what they always say, no?
Cynical.
I am not interested in what people say. I am interested in the truth, Mademoiselle Barnard. If you only knew how much I would like to talk with someone who does not know that your sister is dead and who could provide me with a true portrait of her beyond the formalities.
The truth is that my sister was a silly little fool. I tried to reason with her, but she behaved like an idiot.
In what way?
She used to say that if she was going to marry Don, she might as well have some fun now.
I understand. Please continue.
So she's cheating on Donald Fraser and
excuse
the
me,
other.
I have to answer that.
But of course.
Betty's room is opposite the stairs on the first floor. Feel free to take a look if you think it might be useful.
So they have a phone too. I'm still trying to figure out if most people would have
This
a
young
phone.
woman is far too clever not to have anything else for us.
Of course, that may not
you
have
think
been a
she's
phone.
hiding something?
That could have been a doorbell.
That is what I'm trying to find out.
Or
Surely you don't
even a
think
mail
she
drop
did it?
alert.
I did not say anything of the sort. But young women always ruin your judgment, Hastings. Who knows? Maybe Megan was jealous of her attractive young sister.
I see. She may have had her sights on the inheritance. Or maybe she was in love with Donald Fraser.
We have
What
to study all
inherits?
scenarios, even the most unlikely. But I doubt that Mr. and Mrs. Barnard are rich enough to justify murder. While I try and get Miss Barnard to talk, I would like you to try and find Donald Fraser. It should be easy to find the estate agents where he works. Bring him to the Ginger Cat. I would like to talk with him before the chief inspector finds him.
I recently played Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, and there is a side character named Sophia Hapgood, I believe is her name, who felt like she should have been around Indiana Jones throughout the game, but she disappeared for large chunks of it, unfortunately. But also, she was kind of an antagonistic position with Indiana Jones, where Hastings and Watson are always just the ever faithful assistant who never really do anything without being ordered to do it. It makes for very dull characters. So even though Hastings has been around more than Sophia in this game, Hastings has not impressed me as a character. You could also have an assistant character who could throw out pieces of information that would be obviously unknown to Poirot. That being said, I suppose this game has to be somewhat close to the story of the book, but it doesn't have to be that close. There could be a completely different murderer in this game compared to the book. And right now what I'm thinking is that there is a serial killer who has made a list of people who they think is cheating on their boyfriends and killing them for vengeance. I don't know why you announce it, though. That's the question. See, taking a long time to get those ego points. Yeah. Why announce it? Why make a game of it with Poirot? If you think these...
It looks like Betty was also a music lover, the same as her family.
If you think that you are morally justified to kill women that are cheating, why only kill
Without a doubt,
people
Betty used to
in
sing.
alphabetical order, unless you're trying to make an impact and a mythos that follows after your eventual capture? I guess that could be it, is that people talk about the ABC killer for decades
A
later.
box of new stockings.
But why encourage being stopped? Here we can see an example of the engine not really working.
It It looks like Betty has a very busy life.
So, invitation to a dance, menu from a stylish restaurant, a ticket for the film Impossible Love.
Betty liked luxury and going out. And being as pretty as she was, she probably did not have any problem getting herself invited.
This is normally in a point-and-click adventure game. You just click on this and he would make a comment. But
A record sleeve with an handwritten title.
don't hate
Betty must
the
have
idea
recorded
of
the demo.
making you work a little
I'd be
bit more
interested to
for
hear it.
that comment. For a specific comment.
A record sleeve.
Interesting. He says he wants to hear it, but then he
Something
doesn't.
on this clock bothers me.
Interesting.
Could the screw be slightly loose?
This seems to kind of go completely in the wrong order. I would think that this would be the other thing that you would have to unscrew.
Good. It should be possible to open the wooden panel. Look, a key. This
Why
could be
someone
useful.
would have a gadget like this is questionable.
Strange. A sheet of paper is blocked in the clock.
Blocked is a weird way to describe that. Am I supposed to use this with this? This one does not seem loose.
What a strange mechanism. I don't think it serves to turn the hands.
Right. This doesn't seem like it wants to move.
No, the key does not fit this cog.
Seems like we're gonna need to find more pieces of things. We may not be ready for this, or more than likely not ready for this. Interesting.
No, the key does not fit this cog.
So these do move, but you have to kind of click on them. I'm just going to put them all inward and see if that somehow would be the answer.
The cogs are blocked by these wooden panels. The central cog is blocked.
Seems like we can look at maybe every foot, and we may very well have to just find every corner and see if there's some more trickery going on. That one looks particularly dark and not built around, not wooden. So 3, 1, 2, 2. Okay, well, let's go ahead and try that. Then 3, 1, 2. to.
The central cog is blocked.
Is there a puzzle here? Or is this just indication that more things need to be worked on?
This metal disc is stuck.
We don't use
This metal disc is stuck.
You can't just directly wind the face or...
There, that's better.
Guess we can change this. And that gave me the 4-leaf clover achievement. I don't know if that's because I just accidentally got lucky there or what.
This metal disc is stuck. This wooden panel is blocked. Strange. A sheet of paper is blocked in the clock. This wooden panel is blocked.
Blocked, I can't open it.
The central cog is blocked.
It seems weird that we might very possibly just not have the item we need. Let's see, we have this other item. This photo does not seem like it has anything of value. Unless I'm supposed to use the photo with that. I can't seemingly change the clock anymore. Is this an up and down, left and right, shake around, use this on that? Is there possibly anything else I'm supposed to click on or interact with?
This decoration appears to be firmly fastened.
Firmly fastened.
This decoration appears to be firmly fastened.
And those are tiny little pixels.
This decoration appears to be firmly fastened. This decoration appears to be firmly fastened.
It does seem like it's just another trick. This one doesn't actually get you a comment. So yeah, unless I'm supposed to use
This metal disc is stuck.
So I'm supposed to use that with that.
This metal disc is stuck.
That brings you back to this part.
I definitely need an object to make these cogs turn.
Okay.
I definitely need an object to make these cogs turn.
Okay. Some weirdness there, I guess. in that I can only make these two turn out of the way. And so unless those two alone are good
Something
enough...
clicked on the front of the clock.
Okay. I'm glad it's not making me turn in a rotating method, because that would be very annoying.
This could be useful. Betty, I enjoyed a wonderful evening in your company, and I hope that we will see each other again very soon. D. My dearest Betty, I know that your art is already spoken for, but you are the most beautiful dancer I have ever had the pleasure of meeting, and I am impatient to see you again. Adrian.
So she's got several love letters. There's some kind of grade ABS going on here as far as the idea of her probably being betrothed by her families and parents and not even really wanting to be with that guy. And
medicine to prevent voice loss.
It being looked...
Did Betty have problems with her voice?
Looked out upon as a bad thing that she would perhaps want to date around and find someone she truly had passion for. We're now getting a connecting part as far as medicine too, which very possibly highlights maybe the train line at which the serial killer is riding. So he's getting to know these people because they're going from, say, a London pharmacy to the black hosiery place.
This small key should be useful to me. I've finished with this subject.
Now we've got a default comment. See, we don't have any of these right now. We did pick up the small key.
Looking at all the clothes she took out, Betty must have had a problem deciding what to wear. Maybe she had a date.
Here you have like a painting of Jesus. Maybe these are all reprints. Nothing secretly under the floorboards and under the rug. Where would the key
Without
go?
a doubt, Betty used to sing. A box of new stockings.
And Poirot's just kind of ignoring that. So did we find everything there is to find here? Weirdly does just put you in that position where it's just like, oh, I don't know if I found everything or if I didn't. And I suppose what I need to do is walk through here, see if there's a save, and let's see if this... Yeah, there wasn't a save there. We're looking for the save spot. So we'll do one more puzzle, and then I want to exit, and I want to see if I can find out how many points and what percentage we might be at.
Let us see. What is this cupboard hiding?
Here we have a puzzle which seems to be showing a rest or a whole note on the lower octaves of 4/4 timing, and then a half note, quarter notes, 8 notes, 16th note, 32 notes. It's not anything particularly strange about this.
This looks like solfège.
You can't drag it around or anything, so maybe it's just a straight hint to understand music. Just in case you don't. But it would be really helpful to...
This looks like solfège.
Be really helpful to have that have that be either in your journal or in your
that doesn't
as an
work.
item.
I must have forgotten a step.
Alright, so now we have to do the archaic steps of preparing a Victrola play.
There is bound to be a clue somewhere.
Alright, well, that was... Let's see. Now they're just going to waste your time, aren't they?
It looks like some...
Push the button to...
That doesn't work. I must have forgotten a step.
Crank this first. You have to crank it first to be able to...
That doesn't work. I must have forgotten a step.
Well, yeah, wouldn't you just manually lift the needle? Doesn't seem like it's gonna be that easy. I doubt we'll find something in here. Alright, so it wants a fourth note. So it wants the square below the line and the square above the line. Yeah. Yeah, one of these, two of these. I suspect these puzzles don't reset.
There is bound to be a clue somewhere.
Let's see. So this must be above the line. Seems like there's no real confirmation button. This is a backwards S with a line on the bottom of it. It's real easy to misread these. Backwards S with a line under it. So each one of those is 1/4. Okay, so then what I guess I would need is not above, but below. So 1 tick mark with 2 tick marks. This is the answer.
There is bound to be a clue somewhere.
It's trying to give you a hint when I don't really need it, and it seems a little weird because I already had a clue system.
I heard the sound of a mechanism being triggered.
So the worst case scenario here is that you should have just had Poirot record a single line of dialogue that would say, maybe I need a hint. OOA. This was 78T. Alright, well. Which is faster, going this way or that way? Because that's a lot of work. regardless.
I just have to put the record on the gramophone and start it.
I have no idea what the 78T is supposed to represent. Probably nothing of any real world usage.
That doesn't work. I must...
Right, we need to zoom in.
That doesn't work. I must have forgotten a... That doesn't work. I must have...
Back, forward, left, right. Trying to spin the needle, which the needle needs to go away.
That doesn't work. I must have forgotten a step.
There's definitely a problem with modern people not having ever set up a record player or gramophone. Just not really getting it. Ah, there's something I missed. So the switch tilts the machine back. So then we tilt the machine forward again. Of course, the record's not at the edge. It'd be weird for the records to start in the center and move to the edge.
But it's not wise. The doctor said you should rest your voice.
You're such a killjoy sometimes.
I wonder if the doctor is poisoning people.
Betty was such a good singer.
It's true. Did she have any problem with her throat?
Another
Yes,
achievement.
she had to be careful with her voice. Of course, she didn't follow the doctor's advice. If Don didn't insist, she... Well, it's too late for all that now.
Alright, so there we have a save. Yeah, it's either somebody riding on the train in between the hosiery and the doctor, or the doctor himself, or someone else. So let's see, does this take you to this point? Yes, it does. So we're halfway through chapter 2, and at this rate, we've had 2 murders. It says we're at 34% progress with, I assume, to get to 600 points. I mean, I guess you would kind of have to run the numbers there and multiply 34 times this to see how well that really means. No, it can't be 34% because 33.3% of 33.3 repeating percent of 600 would be 200. So the progress must indicate how far we are in the game, which is a little interesting because I would have expected us to be not that far in the game. But that's almost preferable compared to the Nancy Drew game, because the Nancy Drew game went on forever. There was a problem with the audio in that it was playing the background standard music over the audio of the record, when clearly you would have wanted to hard program that to not play any background music during that section. I suppose timeline-wise, we might have missed a bunch of stuff, or maybe this all happens later, or gets discovered later. It very well may be a case that the timeline is confused, and there are some murders that are going to be discovered where the person has been killed before the person with the letter A. As far as reconstructions go, We have Andover, and it seems like we're only going to have 2 others. And then I think the achievements in particular here are going to be fairly not that spoilery. Seems like this first collection of them is probably just doing the story. And I guess maybe Agatha Christie mentions or describes Poirot's mustache in a bunch of different ways, and that's the idea. The next one we have, Poirot excels in observing human nature. You receive this trophy for having penetrated a person's thoughts with one look. And so Falcon's Eye is probably doing that same thing with everybody, half the people in the game, and Eagle's Eye is probably doing that with almost everybody in the game. Then we have Neuron. As Poirot says, everybody has little gray cells, but they differ in quality. Yours are exceptional. You solved 1 question. I assume this means we'll solve half the questions in the game, almost all the questions. Here we have, it's nice to confide in Uncle Poirot. That's why you conducted an interrogation to perfection. Interesting. So then if it's that same pattern, maybe I need to do a perfect interrogation with half the people and then nearly all the people. So I may already be off the path of potentially getting all of these. You believe in symmetry, that is the source of all beauty, and that order creates virtue. I assume that this means I solved a puzzle. Or did something extra in the puzzle, which it seems like maybe there's something extra in every puzzle. Then we have a small donkey, medium donkey, and large donkey, which might be the opposite, and this might be for using clues. And then purring tomcat is comfort is important. This trophy is awarded for you simply having taken the time to sit down and look good in the chair. There's also a cleaning tomcat, so obviously I need to clean. Then we have single gear, glory to the hand of man, the equal to his mind. One is nothing without the other, and it is by using both that you are able to solve a riddle. Interesting. So I solved some kind of riddle. Then double gear. Let us solve half of the riddles. So we are halfway through all the riddles already. Then we have a newspaper. Do not hesitate to read the newspapers. But then the next one is stone, and then the next one is incense burner. And then we're back to mustaches as descriptions, which feel like these might be joke achievements. Then we have Black Swan, Thor's Hammer, Telescope, Black Dragon. Some of these definitely feel like they might be references to comic books and movies. Dragon Smoke, Secret Heart, Red Cross, and Gold Paper Knife. And I wonder if you just have to find all of these items somewhere. So yeah, it does definitely seem like there's still half of the achievements are in play, as far as I have no idea what I'm supposed to do to get them all. But it definitely feels like it would be a little weird to have to play the game a second time to try to get all the achievements. Even if I was going to do that, I would definitely have an achievement guide in front of me and rush through the game a second time, and I just don't know what about a point and click adventure game would motivate me to do that. So hopefully we could at least jump to chapters, which might make some sense as far as this empty spot. Otherwise, this empty spot is just here so you don't accidentally click on quit. Yeah, So far, so good, though. I like the mystery. I'm actually thinking about who it is. We don't have any real name suspects at this point, but there's a generic concept of people. Poirot doesn't come off as too much of an egotist to irritate me, nor does he go on long, random speeches, which a modern mystery writer would probably write him to give him these long monologues. But yeah, we don't have anything like that. In fact, he's kind of soft-spoken or short-spoken. I suppose I should say that the thumbnail that they have on Steam is showing the sister's sister, the one that lived, that we just met. So that was the person I thought that might represent Agatha Christie, because the thumbnail also has Agatha Christie signing that picture, or a fake signature of Agatha Christie signing the picture. So I'm fairly certain at this point that we won't have an Agatha Christie self-insert character, although in a lot of ways Poirot may very well be Agatha Christie's self-insert character. Alright, well, we've already gone too long. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.